Matthew, go ahead.
Sure, thanks a lot. Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks for doing this briefing by video. I wanted to ask, you'd mentioned that that you were heartened by the African Union accepting the UN's, quote, human rights due diligence policy. Can you describe how that will be implemented with regard to the forces that will be in this? Will there be a review of their previous conduct, for example, in Mali, as serving as peacekeepers? Just what were you applauding? I also wanted to know your position on the death penalties that were assigned to Nigerian soldiers previously for not having aggressively enough fought Boko Haram. There was some controversy about that. What's the status of those prisoners, and what's your position on it? And then, if you can, before the end of it, maybe at the end of this, I know that you were the envoy to Gambia, and there's been nothing said by the UN since then. What was accomplished by your visit, and is Yahya Jammeh investigating the failed coup against him? Thanks.
Martin, those were 3 questions in one, but let me try to remember the different questions. The first one, on the human rights component to any mission that will be fielded. Yes, as you know, this is a standard practice with the UN, with all missions, that there is an important and major human rights component, and this is exactly what is being designed for the multinational joint task force, that it will have, in addition to the strictly military component, that will have a protection of civilian component also, comprising police and civilian, and among the civilian components will be a human rights section, human rights unit, obviously to ensure that it's well staffed by people who can monitor and do reporting and ensure that human rights violations do not occur, and where they occur, to report on them so that appropriate actions are taken. So that's what is envisaged. I should say that this is welcome development, and we're pleased in that regard that the countries have acknowledged. Initially, there was just thinking about deployment of troops, but I think one of the benefits that has come from associating the UN at this early planning stage is the insistence on this human rights component, and we're pleased that it has been accepted. Of course, we're looking forward. So the human rights component will be specific to this particular multinational joint task force. And obviously, you'll understand then that any concerns or issues that may have arisen in Mali or any other mission in West Africa or Africa for that matter will not fall under the ambit of this particular mission. Regarding the trials and the sentences that have been passed in Nigeria against certain military officers and men and women, I think that is still very much a lively debate in the country, and it's good that it's taken on. There are those who are calling for a review of the sentences, and there are those who are insisting that the sentences be enforced. I do not know enough about the legal system in Nigeria, but my guess is that these sentences are still subject to presidential decision, either by way of pardon or mitigation, and I can imagine that the lawyers representing these various soldiers will be doing all they can within a due process to ensure that the rights of their clients are adequately and properly protected. Regarding the Gambia, as you probably know, there was a visit scheduled, and I was hoping to accompany USG Jeffrey Feldman to the Gambia. There were scheduling difficulties, and our understanding is that the government has asked for a postponement. We will eagerly await when a new date can be fixed, because it's important that we are able to remain engaged with the Gambia, particularly with regard to the events of late December, where there was an attempted coup, and to make sure that any trials that take place there are done in conformity with the laws of the Gambia, and that they do not occur in a situation where the human rights are brazenly violated. Thank you.